Hello there, my name is Laman Jai, and this is News Review. Coming up for you on the show today, scores of college students have not been able to take their exams because of tuition fees. Students of the college have been going through all sorts of problems, really, in the recent days and weeks. We have a report for you on that. Westminster Foundation Gambia office has also presented its report to the British High Commission. The report is an investigation into the Gambia's response to COVID-19 and its impact on marginalized groups. Reason more, UDP also is going to Congress. Their spokesman, Almami Tal, is my guest today. Before all of this, though, we will see what the papers are saying. The Standard, we have the Standard newspaper. We also have The Point. Let's see what they are reporting as usual on today. Jimara Nam speaks on reported defection to NPP. Barrow says he extended hand to Kande. General Tamba completes testimony with appeal for forgiveness. Halifa vows to persuade NAMS to rescind decision on draft constitution. Solo Sandeng was buried on executive order. Witness sex workers should not be deprived of food. Bakausu, that's Imam Bakausu for Wanaka Powership, donates 5,000 face masks. So, briefly on the stories, the opposition GDC National Assembly member for Jimar has confirmed to the Standard that he has not yet defected to the National People's Party, despite his presence at the president's meeting in Sotuma Sere. According to Alaji Sow, he is in consultation with his people on the matter before formally declaring whether he will go. The Barrow says he's extended hand to Kande. President Adama Barrow has said he has extended invitation to his local rival Mama Kande to join him as a fellow native of Jimara district. The two men, now leaders of different political parties, have a long history of political rivalry since 2007 when Kande defeated Barrow in the constituency's National Assembly election. But in 2016, Barrow got elected president, defeating both Kande and incumbent Yaya Jammeh, taking the rivalry to another level. General Tamba completes testimony with appeal for forgiveness. Former Army Chief General Lantomban Tamba has completed a heated third day at the TRRC with a call for forgiveness from anyone who may have been affected by his action or decision while he was Army Chief. Halifa Saleh vows to persuade NAMS to rescind decision on draft constitution. The Secretary General of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, that their National Assembly member, yesterday vowed to engage his fellow National Assembly members to find consensus to rescind their decision on the draft constitution. In September, lawmakers rejected a draft constitution to replace the 1997 constitution. The document, which was to help reform the country's governance system, could not secure enough votes at the parliament. So this week, Salah actually sought permission from the Speaker of the House there to move a motion to rescind, to scrap actually that decision back in September when they voted down the draft constitution. But then the Speaker rejected his plea there. So Oliver held a press conference yesterday discussing the issue there. Solo Sandeng was buried on executive order witness. One of the NIA officials standing trial for the murder of activist Solo Sandeng yesterday testified before Justice Kumbasila Kamara of the High Court in Banjul that Sandeng, a UDP youth mobilizer who died at the NIA premises while under detention, was buried on executive order. Sex workers should not be deprived of food. Outspoken Islamic cleric Imam Bakausu Fafana has contended that sex workers should not be deprived of food, water, food, and medicine due to their work. Imam Bakausu further argued that giving humanitarian support to prostitutes doesn't imply complicity, adding that the best way to support them is to take them out of the profession. Yes, let's see what the Point is saying today. Bar tells Kande to join NPP or mourn GDC's demise. Local fisher folk associations poised to defend interests. Gambia needs trained personnel to crush any low-cost invasion. Ex-army chief expresses disappointment over killing of Daba Marena. That's Lantombon Tamba there. So on the Point lead story today, supporters of the opposition Gambia Democratic Congress, GDC, continue to defect to National People's Party. In the ongoing countrywide tour of President Adama Barrow, Hamad Bah, the leader of the National Reconciliation Party, that's NRP there, has called on Mama Kande to join NPP before it's too late for him. Yes, that will be that for the newspapers. We'll be taking a quick break and we'll be right back. So scores of students there at the Gambia College have not been able to take their exams in the past days due to tuition fees. Well, the students there have been going through all kinds of problems, really, in the recent days and weeks. Farouk Kamara traveled to the Brikama College, and she came through with this report.
Hello, welcome to the Fatu Network. We are right here at the Gambia College campus in Brikama, and now we are told that some of the students in the Gambia College did not pay their tuition fee, and as a result, these students are not allowed to do their exams, and some of them are also not allowed to do their lectures. As a result, we are here to engage the students and see what exactly is going on in this campus right here. Please do follow us.
In the college, we meet the executives of the student-teachers body, and they buttressed on tuition fee problems faced by their students since the change of government in 2016.
When you come to Gambia College and we look at the reality of the Gambia College, since 2016, students of the Gambia College were informed that Gambia College is now privatized. So that being the reason, but then we all know that, the students who are coming to Gambia College are, the sons and the daughters of the poor farmers. So that being the case, Gambia College being privatized is not an issue. Students are well aware of it, but the way in which the administration want to take issues are really affecting the students of the Gambia College. Because when you look at, for the recent issue that has raised an alarm in the Gambia College, students are denied of registration. Students are denied to take their examination without a clearance, which brings so many chaos among the students in the Gambia College, which is really affecting the children of the poor farmers. Because initially, the students were communicated by the administration that in order for you to register, you have to make a payment of your tuition fee. That is the half payment for you to register in order to start a lesson, which was done by a majority of the students. So students who could not afford it, were left at home, and they could not have access to education.
A lot of things have been happening recently since the resumption of college after the COVID-19 pandemic. So, which is partly that my president has already spoken to you about the tuition fee problem, and then at the same time it has been increasing like yearly, because for the year that we came in, it was 7,000. That was 2018. To 2019, it was adjusted to 12,000. So this year too, I think it's the same 12,000 that is going on annually. So looking at the times and then in which these tuition fees has been increasing, and then looking at the situation at which Gambia College was, and now it's very different, because before 2016 this new election election came and the change of office has been done, Gambia College realized that it was a place or an institution for the less privileged always, most of the time I would say, because usually some would even complete grade 12 with 7, 8 credits, but they cannot afford it to the university or other institutions in the country. But they would rather come to the Gambia College, which was free, and where they could start somewhere, earn a little, and then have a degree as a stepping stone to go to the next level that they want to. But since these changes has happened, everything has changed, and students are really, really suffering, because if something that was free has changed to 7,000, from 7,000 to 12,000, and then who knows, probably next year things might change. It's not only the students that are coming in, those who are pre-service that are suffering, but also in-service teachers who has already been in the field that are also serving the government. I find it really hard to come back to the college to further, and that is really worrying us, and these are things I think the government needs to help us with. Not only the Gambia College School of Administration can handle this alone, because most of these changes is not coming exactly from the Gambia College Administration, but from above. When I say above, I'm talking about Mohas and MOPSI and the others. So things have been really difficult with a lot of students. As you have seen earlier these days, photos have been circulating the internet and comments have been made, but as far as things are concerned, the government is not helping much, and they are the ones that we need actually to come and step in.
The Student Education Minister, Yankuba Sane, said the school principal introduced an undertaking through which some students might have the chance to sit to their exams.
Still now, there are some students who are in difficulties. Because if your undertaking is not approved, which means, you will not be sitting to the examinations.
What is an undertaking?
undertaking is a procedure that has been initiated this year, but to be honest with you, it was a very prompt, agenda that was initiated by the college administration. Because undertaking is something that, came very late. Undertaking is the process where you write a letter to the principal to explain to him 1 or 2 reasons that failed you to at least meet the duration of your payment for the semester, and then you initiate a time, for example, like, I will be able to pay it in installment in this particular, let's say, for example, in every 3 months, I'll be paying this particular amount to be able to access my programs. So once you apply that and it is approved by the principal, then you will be able to access the clearance.
We are talking about exams today, and exams is going to come again.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
problem is going to continue.
Yeah.
So are you saying if any student apply for an undertaking, whenever there is an exam, the principal is going to permit the students to do their exams?
Yeah, I think here the principal will be in a better condition to answer that, because undertaking, I'm saying undertaking is a letter that you explain to the principal based on your condition. So you have to at least put intangible condition for him to understand. And I'm very much so, whoever is to write an undertaking should write issues that may be very much trending to allow the principal to know that, you are unable to meet your payment due to one reason or the other. So whoever wrote an undertaking should be at least understandable by the principal. But to be honest with you, to be frank with you, undertaking came as an idea, it was very late and prompt. And it is not an idea which is welcomed by the students at all, to be honest. Because it came at a very late time. When I came to realize that undertaking was going on, when examinations are at the corner, I believe they should have notified the general students, about all these issues of undertaking prior before the examinations. So to be honest with you, personally, I was not a bit happy about the issue of the undertaking, and it is not something that I have observed, properly.
Sala, Agriculture Minister student body, and one of the students talked about problems faced by students due to their inability to pay their tuition fee.
So just returning from this lockdown and you asking students to pay this big amount of money for them to be cleared and for them to be granted a clearance to go attend their classes and their exams is actually worrisome. So we are as students and student body, like student representative, is our concern to see how best we can work and tell the admin actually about these pending issues and let them allow students to make sure they sit to their classes and sit to their exam as expected. Because right now, if you put pressure on students for them to pay their tuition fee, if not, then they will not attend classes or they will not actually be granted clearance for them to attend their exam, because right now we know college, once an exam is held, it will affect you in one way or the other. Right now, if you miss any exam, even though you happen to graduate the upper year, you cannot graduate unless and until you complete those ICs or those pending exams that you ought to do and you didn't do them.
Yeah, the tuition fees, the payment of those ones, the students who couldn't pay their tuition fees, they couldn't understand them because they have their own philosophy and their reasoning about why they didn't pay, but they didn't want to understand them about that. And they are giving more difficulty. Things are very complicatable on those people. It is very sad in the Gambia College here. Seeing our colleagues, our fellow students, they are not attending their exams, classes. And it is very bad for that matter. Some people, their background is not strong, definitely. So they should understand them. After the exam, they will be able to pay before their attestation. But as of now, they are not doing that. They are denying them from doing the exam because of they didn't pay, and which is very sad. And they were saying that when they don't come with their clearance, when they are not clear, they will not do. What about when they didn't pay them? What will happen to them? So they just ban them from doing the exam, which is very sad. And that means they have to reach it and pay another money. So this still now, they are not reducing the loan from the students in the Gambia College. They are increasing difficulties more in the students.
The Gambia College students said the college was an institution built to give hope to students from less privileged homes. But all things changed after the change of government in 2016. They are therefore calling on the government and all donors to step in and help the crisis falling on the students.
The way forward will only be if the government should intervene, because teachers are nation builders. That no one can dispute that. So that being the case, if students of School of Education who are to become the teachers of the nation are really affected and not given the deserved education that they deserve, this is really not telling well of the nation that we are living. And actually, even the Gambia College, we believe that the Gambia College, together with the ministry, need to have that memorandum of understanding where the students who are on the School of Education can be given the education that they deserve. So when we look at the whole constraint that is really affecting the students in the Gambia College is too much. But however, we can't limit ourselves to the current issue. that we are affecting. That is, students are not given clearance in order to sit to their examination, which is causing more harm in the School of Education and to the students that that are from poor background.
Now, right there with the students, we all heard what the student body and some of the students have said. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, I am Fatu Kamara.
Do you want to win millions of dollars this December? All you have to do is dial *777# for free or call or SMS 1010 at $3 is only to participate in the new AfriHali show and be part of the 7 daily winners.
Every Tuesday, Wednesday and Fridays live on GRTS, Afri Radio and social media platforms. Be part of our lucky winners.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
So very well, in our subsequent shows, we will try to reach out to the authorities there, both at the college, but at the Minister of Higher Education, to really find out what is going on or what's up with the Gambia College. Now, Westminster Foundation Gambia office has presented its report to the British High Commission. So this report is an investigation into the response there by the government in respect of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on marginalized groups. More in this report.
Presentation of the report learning from the Gambia's response to COVID-19 and its impact on marginalized groups. Lessons, successes and challenges was done by Westminster Foundation for Democracy and the British High Commission at the premises of the British High Commissioner's office on Monday.
What we did was to hold 3 separate discussions, consultations with the various groups. On one side is the persons with disabilities from the various organizations that they constitute. We had representatives from there, and at a time, actually, when in fact public gathering was more or less still restricted in the Gambia. So that was one consultation we had to do online, virtually. But the second consultation was with the women's rights organizations in the civil society. And then the third separate consultation we had was with the National Assembly and government representatives, particularly those relevant institutions, health, education, Ministry of Trade, Ministry for Women's Affairs. What we did was eventually to gather all of the issues, the discussions that we've had into a report, because we felt the report is important. It is important to gather all these conversations, put it in a report, which could be a resource, a tool, not just for government, but for all of us, for all stakeholders.
President of the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, Magistrate Klubali, was present at the event.
This conversation was so interactive, coming from different persons with disabilities, because we have the feelings that usually during difficult times or moments, persons with disabilities are always considered as the most vulnerable and the most disadvantaged. That would always be the last to receive at least emergency, let's say, response.
President of the Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia has this to say.
COVID affected everybody, but it affected women and children the most. I'm sorry, but I'm very passionate about what I'm saying. You had women who were pregnant, who couldn't go to the hospitals because everybody was afraid and told that you would catch COVID when you get to the hospital. Women already give birth at home, but it increased. Then what did we hear? A lot of death happened. Babies were dying because they didn't have the facility that they needed. I asked around my neighborhood, all the women there, nobody got food distribution. Where did it go? It goes back to where we say we need to have structures in place that would assist women and children. We need to. Government needs to listen to us. We have a ministry. Things should go through the ministry to get to women. But it doesn't.
The British High Commissioner David Belgrove congratulated all participants but was quick to urge all to learn from the report and put it into good use.
We learn the lessons. As somebody said, everybody makes mistakes, but only a fool refuses to learn from them. I was in Liberia during the Ebola outbreak, and I was also in Liberia when this pandemic came along. And, I was disappointed of how many lessons we'd learned during Ebola, which everybody had forgotten. And, reports had been made and people had forgotten many of the important lessons we learned during that time. So one of my pleas to you is don't forget this report. This won't be the first crisis we find, and many of the lessons learned, particularly as it pertains to women, to people with disabilities, to children, are applicable in many other circumstances, including day-to-day life.
The report covers information on how certain groups of persons did not get access to new education programs, how information on COVID-19 did not reach to persons with disability, negative effect of public emergency on persons with disability, police harassment of women market traders, access to healthcare challenges, maternal death, and a lot other challenges faced by vulnerable groups. Fatou Kamara reporting for the Fatou Network News Review.
Welcome back. So all eyes will be on UDP as they go into Congress this weekend. This is one of the most important platforms, really, decision-making platforms for any political party or organization. The spokesman of UDP, El Mamital, joins me, and we will talk about what exactly is UDP doing this weekend. Thank you very much, sir, for coming.
Thank you very much, Lamin, for having me. Congress is a statutory obligation of all political parties. But beyond that legal obligation, it is also an exercise in internal party democracy. It is an opportunity to take stock and see where the party has been between the last Congress and this one, and also to resurvey the land, the political landscape. What are the things that have changed? What events have had a bearing on the development trajectory of the nation? So really it is a very healthy mechanism that can rejuvenate a party, that can reorient a party. It can help it regain its vision of transforming the conditions that have necessitated its establishment. So what we have normally on the first day is a formal opening ceremony where guests, dignitaries are invited to be part of the proceedings. And then we have a Congress report, meaning activities of the party between the two Congresses. You have the Treasurer's report, an accountability process to enable party militants, party members, to know the kind of revenues the party have had, the activities it has been expended on, and where the coffers of the parties stand, especially going into an election, national presidential election year. The other report is the Secretary General's report. This is his, what is it called? His scorecard of himself and his executive colleagues' performance or lack of it, and tragedies, all the things that have happened between the two Congresses. The party faithful will be informed. Thereafter, a discussion, usually a very animated discussion about all these reports, and especially if there are controversial points or issues, will ensue in a plenary session. Thereafter, resolutions would be made. If there is a need to amend the constitution or other policy documents of the party, this exercise would also be undertaken. After that, elections will be held for all the positions within the party. In some cases now, we have some resignations, we have some, sadly, some tragedies, some people, some members, very distinguished members have passed on. And then we have also people that have been expelled from the party and they have lost their position in the executive. After elections, resolutions will be read out and then there would be a closing ceremony. In a nutshell, these are the activities that normally animate Congress.
This year's Congress, I mean, it's coming at a time when you have a pandemic hovering over us. How is that going to impact your gathering this year? Because I've seen pictures of people already traveling to Banjo, heading to, well, KM for the Congress, which is also hosting the Congress. How is the pandemic going to impact your Congress this year?
We are trying as much as possible within the space to observe some social distancing, but there is zero tolerance for not wearing masks. So every delegate, as you are entering the hall, you will be provided with a hand sanitizer and a mask. You are expected, whilst inside the Congress hall, to wear your mask and only take it off for drinking water or for eating. So under the circumstances, we cannot continue to pretend that COVID is not real, but we cannot also put aside normal life, especially now that prospects of a vaccine is in the horizon. The challenge would be, how do we come up with resolutions to help Gambia be among the first to get the vaccine in Africa, given our population size and maybe our dependence on tourism. Such an effort should be a national effort to get Gambia on the queue as quickly as possible so that the recovery process can start in earnest. But I mean, we believe that these efforts need to be moderated, and we should all take responsibility. Otherwise, livelihoods and everything else will either be decimated or life will come to a standstill.
The elections there, how many positions are up for grabs?
All of them.
All the
It's about 35 members of the executive. Like I said, the national president has resigned. The senior administrative secretary, the late Alaji Lamin Dambudiba, passed on. The youth president, female wing, has been expelled from the party. So these are the obvious ones. Some of our positions, some members may be interested in contesting, and in a democratic organization like us, anybody is free to contest for any position.
So far, I know a lot of people would say the position of Secretary General is a foregone conclusion, to the extent that even the billboards that have been put up by UDP, it is the photo of Hussein Udabo that you see there. But so far, has there been any indication of anyone or a member of the party that is interested in the Secretary General job aside Hussein Udabo?
I haven't heard, and I'm saying that also it's not unusual that the current party leader become the face of the party. I mean, President Trump is no longer president of the US, but he's still in office. So I'm just saying that the process is that at Congress, you can have a black horse, a surprise person who wants to challenge for any position, including the position of the Secretary General. But I, for one, my candidate is Hussein Udabo, and I'm going to vote for him when elections come. I know the deputy party leader herself, some 2 years ago, just after the last Congress, also made her position known. I think there are some people who are not as outspoken as myself, but I mean, we want to assure everybody that it's internal democracy, and as members of the party, you have every right to contest for any position as long as you are a delegate to the Congress.
And now, how does the issue of, I mean, your party being hit by the resignation of the national president, Dembo Bifos Bojang, a party stalwart, someone who dedicated his entire life to this party, left the party unceremoniously, if you like. And you have another executive member, the female president, Fatoumata Jawara, expelled from the party. And now you are looking for new faces, actually, really, to occupy those very critical positions. In terms of the kind of people that you put there, at the party level, have you discussed anything that has to do with the fact that the kinds of people that the party is looking for or wants to have in those positions?
It's a democratic organization. Principally, we are seeking unity as a progressive movement, bringing all progressive people together. The party leader and the executive embraces diversity of talent. This year has been one of our own bumper year in terms of addition to the party. Very prominent Gambians, very distinguished Gambians of all gender sides have joined the party formally, and they have come to the task of renewing this country, of reforming this country, of transforming this country. So what happens in a democracy is entirely up to the people who constitute that unit. Now, if I should be so bold to go and want to seek office, my brothers and sisters who are in UDP, it is for them to choose this way or that way. Obviously, they will be observing me like I have been observing them. And if I have serious flaws that they believe is not going to take the party to the right place, clearly you will have opposition. But in a democracy, you always have to contend with the fact that at some point, some people would put their personal interests before the interests of the common good. So that is, for us, it is not a challenge. Mr. Bojang really has served this country for many years. He has worked as an opposition figure in the First Republic and in the Second Republic. And I think it's fair to say that we did not part on acrimonious terms. We have maintained that the principles of the UDP, that justice, peace, and progress are not things that you need to negotiate about. As long as you are principled, I think we will go a long way. We have had prominent defections. You will remember Lamin Wajawara used to be a stalwart of the UDP even before this coalition, and we parted ways. I mean, we are very solid on our principles, and I can assure you that you will not see any principal defection or parting of ways, because the party has been engaged in some internal introspection and trying to find its soul, trying to find its center, because we have a glorious past. Nobody can deny this. But it is the future that we need to invent so that this country move away from this pedestrian politics that we have seen in the last 4 years. People engage in endless talking and doing pretty much very little. And, you know, whether it's on healthcare, whether it's on employment, whether it's this backway, whether it's traffic, every aspect of life in this country has regressed in the last 4 years. So the need of the hour, and UDP believes what is needed now, is to rethink government. What is the new theory of government that we can bring to bear on our problems and transform this country? Mauritius did it, Singapore did it, China on the grandest scale have done it in the last 40 years. Rwanda came from genocide and they changed the whole architecture of what government is supposed to be doing. But what we see in this government is just a waste of public finance, a waste of the time of Gambians. Every day you see news headlines, people are commenting on the comments of Lamin Jai or the comments of Almamital. You never hear any transformational project that can move the thinking of Gambians from where we are, this politic of boasting and saying that I will do this, I have done this. What have you done? People are giving you money to do a lot of things, to give them security, to send their children to good schools, to make sure that our health care system is the best in the world. Instead of talking about that, you talk about the pandemic. Why are we not fighting to get the vaccine tomorrow, the day after tomorrow? And I believe if we put the right arguments, a lot of philanthropists would be interested in helping a small country like Gambia because, one, we are low income, our economy has been decimated by COVID. If we have a good case and present it to our development partners, 2 million, 3 million people, some cities are even more than that. So this shouldn't be a thing about politics, but it should be about a capable state, a state that takes care of its citizens. So our politics, UDP's politics, has always been focused on that. What are the priorities of the Gambian people? How do you help them be better citizens, be contributors of the GDP, be the drivers of the economy? Look at Kairaba Avenue. 99% of the establishment are owned by non-Gambians. This is not a nationalist or populist statement. It is a reflection of the lack of capability of our government to empower the citizens of this country so that the businesses that make people millionaires, make other nationals rich, are in the hands and are owned by Gambians. This is the promise of Ousainou Darboe. He said it in Brufut that one of the objectives of a UDP government is to create Gambian millionaires. As many Gambian millionaires as possible so that the conditions of our life are better. Because if my brother is a millionaire, you know, I have a lot of opportunities to have a better life. He probably would be the supplier of the fuel that comes into the Gambia. He would be the one importing the rice that is sold to Gambians. So like this, I mean, you look at it again, last year, 2019, the governor of the central bank said that $318 million was remitted by Gambians in the diaspora. This is official. Unofficially, it may be even close to $500 million or even more than that. But most of that, he also went on to say, is used in consumption, is used you know, to meet the daily needs of people. But those daily needs are provided by non-Gambians. So the money comes in and goes out, comes in and goes out. So that way, the government should have in play, things that can empower Gambians so that every aspect, especially the commanding heights of our economy, are in the hands of Gambians.
And now let's go back to your Congress there. I mean, how many people are you expecting?
There are delegates around 1,200.
That's massive. That's a massive crowd there. And you intend to put all of that people in Benjamin?
Yes.
That's a lot of people. How is it possible? How do you go about the social distancing then?
Well,
1,000 people is a lot of people.
Yeah, Penchabi Hall told us that their standard number is, I think, either between 2,500 and 3,000. That's the size when people are seated in theater style. So I think within the description, because I have attended some function at the Dawda Kairaba Jawara International Convention Center, and social distancing was possible. Of course, the number is not as big as this, but I think the hall is big enough to give us some social distancing. But on top of that, the wearing of masks, a lot of countries now are even mandating it. I think that is going to be quite a game changer in the whole process.
Yeah, because really, I think your party should take this seriously. I mean, we have seen what the president is doing. He's been touring the country, but the way and manner in which people are packed in place, this is what you call super spreaders. The president moving around the country spreading coronavirus. I'm not even sure that the Ministry of Health is now, you know, even testing people, really. But now, your budget, you intend to conduct your Congress across 3 days.
Yes.
Your budget, how much money are you putting into this Congress?
Well, this is not something we would like to disclose.
But for transparency's sake, I think it is important that you tell us how much money that your party is putting in this Congress.
The party is putting in a substantial amount of money. But
how much?
To give you the bold figures, firstly, it would not even be accurate because we have had some support from the business community. They have donated in kind. Some of the facilities and services the party does not have to pay for it. Suffice it to say that a significant amount of money has been mobilized within the party's means, within the party's membership, and our diaspora members have donated generously. So for transparency purposes, all the monies that are going into this Congress are derived from lawful means. They are derived from the membership by and large of the party. And it is an investment in the future of the party, in the future of our politics, to make sure that there is no influence whatsoever in making sure that this internal democratic exercise goes on as well as possible, so that we do it fairly quickly, fairly transparently, and get our mandates renewed, get our new leadership introduced to the population, and get to work. The work of turning this country around is, for us, the most important target now.
Still on your source of money there, before we go there, this is just a follow-up question. You said derived from lawful means.
Yes.
Specifically, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about members who are in position and working in the Gambia, outside the Gambia, are the ones who donate completely to the party's purses.
UDP has a substantial base in the diaspora. What is going to be the role of your diaspora constituency in this Congress?
They are now, by our constitution, allowed two delegates from the entire diaspora. But they are visiting in their numbers, so they would be guests to the Congress. So being a delegate to the Congress and being a guest of the Congress are not the same. If you are a delegate, you have a right to put motions, you have a right to contest for position. The diaspora has 2 official votes in Congress. This came in 2018. It is possible in the new constitution that we, in our draft resolutions, a constitutional amendment of the UDP constitution may be effected to increase that number to whatever Congress believes is appropriate.
It's appropriate. And the icing on you, at least if UDP, what you intend to do is anything to go by, you want to put the icing on the cake in the form of a rally on Sunday. Yeah. This rally, I spoke with a UDP official, and he told me you people are planning to put 50,000 people into buffer zone. I told him, but how is that possible? So the rally part, why the rally? Do you think that is necessary at all?
Well, it's like after the Congress, traditionally you want to introduce the new direction to the population, mainly the militants, because not all the militants are able to come to Congress. Secondly, you want to introduce the leaders elected in that Congress. And your messages, your key messages, you want to give it out. But we have technology also to help us. There would be giant screens around the venue of the program. And some of the media have said they will be streaming it live. Clearly, under these circumstances, we need to be as responsible and as careful as possible as far as the crowd size is concerned. We always have had large crowds. This is something that the UDP is known for. But under these special circumstances, we are urging militants to take all the precautionary measures that the WHO and our health officials have been advising us. So in the end, political season is on. It would be foolhardy for us to be not responsible as a stakeholder and as a government in waiting, not to observe these standards. But life goes on. I mean, sometimes you just have to take some of the risk. And our numbers in the Gambia seem to be leveling off, and they're kind of steady. But still, we need to be very, very vigilant. We need to continue to do all these protocols within the circumstances that are available.
And also at the level of your party, have you settled yet, have you settled on a roadmap in terms of how UDP wants to go about toppling President Adama Barrow at the election in December of next year?
One of the discussions we will be having in Congress is a detailed page-by-page policy recommendation on the entire edifice of government. But I said earlier that we need a new theory of government that is propelled by innovation, that is helping the state to be very capable in managing not only crisis, but in empowering Gambians. So generally, what we are about is really not toppling anybody. We are about sketching a new vision of how to do development. What we have seen in the last 4 years is all the wrong ways to do development. You have charlatans, you have demagogues going around saying all kinds of things. And you cannot understand, coming from dictatorship, what the fundamental reform that we needed to do is to change the constitution that enabled and kept a dictatorship here for 22 years. But what happened in September? Everybody saw it. All Gambians, after being consulted, they came down and that whole thing was aborted. Now we hear Nigeria is going to come and help in somehow.
Now, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, an expert in mediation actually, has been the one who has been tapped to lead that process.
But this is not a mediation process. This is a political gimmick.
To kind of like bring everyone together on one single, consensus. I think that is what his purpose is. But at the end of the day, very much we have seen in terms of UDP versus the other side of the political aisle, vis-a-vis the government, all the talking, all the criticism, what the other side would say is coming from UDP, and these people are not necessarily. You are talking about all the theories and the arguments you are making them along the line of the country moving forward. But you go to the other side, what they tell you, they say, look, these people are now fighting for their own selfish interests or for one man. Just the president yesterday, or day before yesterday, at one of his meetings, this is what he said, that Gambians should refuse to be deceived by those people really who are trying to, talk them into saying that, okay, my government is not doing anything. My government is failing.
Well, Lamin, for us Gambians, we know failure when we see it. It's not something that is hidden.
Oh, for us UDP.
Yeah? No. I mean, you are the conveyor of information.
Yeah.
You had just now, before we start our conversation, what are the lessons we have learned? Yes. Please note this from me.
Yes.
2021 is about accountability.
Yes.
In 2016, people went to the polls to elect a person who we thought was going to help us move away from dictatorship. But this guy is employing the people who enabled the dictatorship. This guy is going through the dictatorship playbook. This Meet the Farmer store is a waste of national resources. Everyone knows this. And everywhere you go, somebody from GDC has defected. Chairman GDC, MP GDC, it has gotten to a point, I had one of them saying that, now we should be going after UDP's stronghold and make inroads there. We said that, please welcome. If you go to a Lion's Pride and you want to hunt there, you are committing suicide.
How about if you are a lion yourself?
I mean, we haven't seen a lion.
Well, I mean, they also call themselves a lion.
Okay.
When a lion attacks another lion, then
no.
Then that is not entirely okay.
No,
isn't it?
No, I mean, if you are a lion, you are either with a pride or you have a pride of your own, yes. And you go and hunt while other animals.
Yes.
Lions don't hunt each other. It's a simple logic, because this is a zero-sum game. If anybody thinks that they can come to UDP and make defections possible, either from our NAMs or from our chairpersons or any of our elected leaders, that person is living in a dreamland.
But they have succeeded in securing a few of your a chairman of yours. We have seen what happened between UDP and Sirifo Sonko. We have seen your national chairman defecting. These are all defective people.
Yeah. I mean,
they're all defected.
I don't disagree. But the case of Sirifo Sonko is very simple. We want to expel him. If he believes that he is strong enough, let him just resign. He said he is still member of UDP. This is the first time we are hearing something like that. You are out of the party. You said, no, you are in the party. The party should be deregistered. All kinds of nonsense. We expelled 8 other NAMs because we knew that this was coming. We did this much earlier than now. So at the end of the day, my point is this. The party has been doing a lot of introspection. It is regaining its focus that this is not a credible government. This government has not delivered. This government has failed. This country is going down a crisis mountain. It's so everywhere. Every aspect of our national life is in crisis. So really, at the end of the day, let us talk about the issues of corruption, the issues of police brutality, the issues of the findings of the TRRC, the issues of the findings of the Janneh Commission, of the Faraba Commission. These are all things that every Gambian is aware of. Your colleague, Mr. Mustafa Dabo, has made very shocking revelations. And every day you are hearing one thing or the other. Just this week, the IEC is in confrontation with the Public Procurement Authority. So this is a thoroughly discredited, thoroughly incompetent government that is going around just talking really about trivial issues. Yesterday was...
Yet growing its base, growing its support base.
Well, elections...
Have to say about
no. I mean,
This is a party that is just coming in. This is a government that is just coming. And what we have seen there was a by-election here in Kerjarga. UDP was humbled by NPP. By this man going to show that really this man is in fact growing in terms of base.
No, that has never been.
But that's the case. Yes.
No, Lamin, Kerjarga has never been a base of UDP. We've never won election there. Nyamina West, we've never won election there. The last 2 election cycles, we were supporting NRP. So really, what should be of concern to a lot of people, how many votes are we talking about in these 2 areas? So at the end of the day, it's a very simple matter. If you go to a place where I am not popular and you go there and you win popularity, it doesn't reflect one way or the other on my strength. Maybe we should have a by-election in Brikama and we see who has the upper hand.
So to you, that is how it should really play out.
Indeed.
The issue of, okay, I'm not powerful here, I'm less popular here.
But that is democracy, Lamin. That is democracy.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, do you want a one-party state?
I want a multi-party.
Yeah, of course.
A multi-party one.
So there are places you cannot win. There are some places you cannot win, and you make peace with that.
And that's just so obvious.
Obviously. So democracy, that's how it functions. It's about majority. And clearly, we have a majority across the country.
We don't have much time. The issue of when it comes to the pandemic and how political parties should go about their activities, I think it is very important that us journalists talk to you people about that, so that you are aware of the fact that you have a responsibility in terms of fixing this issue. I know someone is watching, he's not very much pleased that I'm taking this route because I didn't ask the other side. But once I get the chance, rest assured, once I get the chance to talk to the speaker, either the president or his minister, this is the same exact thing that I'm going to do. So there is nothing like inconsistency. I just wanted you to know that, and all the people that are watching, you the people that are watching but think that I'm being inconsistent and biased. But back to I think we have about 5 minutes to wrap up that. Your leader, Hussein Odabo, if you go to UDP, the love and respect that he wills is just all too obvious. But the moment you step outside, you begin to see the amount of people who do not like the man. To the extent, I think he's the only politician. We have a lot of old politicians in this country, but he's the only politician that people will complain to say, okay, he is old. He should allow a younger person to take charge.
But what does that mean, Lamin? What does that mean?
What do you have to say about that?
I mean, I think
going into this Congress there.
Going into this Congress, I told you my position, personal position, very clearly. But in a democracy, we have to accept the will of the majority in any unit. And if there is a national election, the will of the majority also has to be respected. This attempt to delegitimize the majority in this country has been going on for a very long time. It even predates the nation. You know, the first name of the PPP was the Protectorate People's Party. Yes. Because only the colony and people around this greater Banjul area were actively participating in the politics of the country at the disadvantage of the rest of the country. The majority of the people in this country have faith, absolute faith, in the leadership of Ousainou Darboe. The majority in the UDP have a similar faith. I mean, I know I am not liked by a lot of people, but it doesn't mean that they are the majority. So let us be very clear and let us not personalize this. This is not about me or Ousainou Darboe or you or the people who say that they don't like him, he should give chance to younger people. Let them tell us exactly what is it that they want younger people to do. The mayor of KMC is extremely young. The mayor of Banjul is young. The members of the National Assembly, Yakumba Jaite and all her colleagues are young people. These are the lifeblood of the party. The symbolic leadership that Ousainou Darboe has provided for this country for a quarter of a century speaks for itself. When he was vice president, he was living here, next to you, in Karaba Avenue and in Kotu. These are properties he got in the 80s, before he even thought about getting into political life. His integrity, his competence, his humility, these are the qualities that has endeared him to the Gambian voters time and again. 2021 will be the proof of the pudding. Those who are detracting from the real struggle of this country and the need to move this country to a different plane are really doing a disservice to the country, and they are being dishonest and being actually hypocritical about the history of this country. People forget that in April 16, the reason why Ousainou Darboe went to prison was because Solo Sandeng was killed. Before that, in 2006, Deda Hydra was killed, 2004, by a brutal dictator. These are things that people think that, oh, we can put it aside. Like I said, we know our history, we know who we are, we know what we can do for this country, and God willing, we will do that for this country.
In your opinion, this hatred of Ousainou Darboe, do you think one could pin it on the fact that he has done very well for himself, and maybe in fact he is ahead of those people that hate him, he's ahead of their politicians in terms of popularity? Do you think that it has to, or they feel threatened by his popularity, the way and manner in which his constituency admires?
Well, you have your ear on the ground. I don't think we in the political fray should be so vain to think that we are so, wonderful that people will not hate us. Even the Prophet of Islam, Jesus, was crucified. This is what happens to people, because if you stand for justice, peace, and progress, there would be people who will not like that, because they want to take take advantage of the voiceless, of the minority. So really, why anybody should hate another Gambian, your own compatriot, is beyond me. I disagree with the politics that is taking root in the Gambia, just as I disagreed with the politics of Yahya Jammeh. Believe me, if Ousainou Darboe had wanted, he will just sit at the State House and keep quiet, and he will be vice president until the day he doesn't want it anymore. If I wanted, it's the same thing. There are so many people, they are doing this because they believe that the principle of justice in all our national affairs must be undeniable. It must not be up for negotiation. So hating me or thinking that you can intimidate me by taking public funds or taking opportunities of participating in the development process from me is going to make me stop thinking the way I'm thinking. If anybody thinks like that, Ousainou Darboe is a man of integrity, is a man of dignity. He has fought for this country, and it is about time those who are engaged in that hate game to look somewhere else. It's not going to have an impact because all the Gambians are equal in this country. We all are entitled to have an orientation and to have a support for individual, for ideas. Let us stop at that. Let us let the ideas clash as much as possible. The best ideas will be what the majority will vote for.
Finally, let me ask you about the issue of money in politics. In Africa, what much is known has to do with the fact that the more money you have as a politician, that is every likelihood that you, it is you that people would usually support. We have seen that. And one of the political leaders just recently said that NPP, in its very young life, has managed to become the richest or wealthiest political party in the whole of West Africa. If you look at that, if that is anything to go by, you look at the amount of resources that is at the disposal of NPP, and you compare that with your party in terms of money, financial muscle, really. Do you, at the level of UDP, do you feel disturbed or worried by that at all? The fact that NPP, that is, from the look of things, it would appear that NPP has more money than your party.
This is a contradiction in terms. A political party is not a money-making venture. A political party should tell the people, where did it get this money from? Did he inherit this from his family? Did it grow out of an oil well? The question, the real question, I don't know which politician said that is the wealthiest party. That is one of the worst statements anyone can make. How can a political party stand up and claim, or a politician claim that a political party is wealthy? This is one of the most scandalous things that anybody could come around to. In a democracy, you are there to serve, and your service is paid for by the taxpayers' money. Where did this money, this wealth of a political party, where did it come from? Are we talking about corruption? Are we talking about state capture? How is it possible that somebody who doesn't work for anybody other than the Gambian people becomes somebody who can give out vehicles every day, give out money every how? And you see the national budget saying that every week $1 million is spent in food in State House. This is the estimates. So these kind of scandals is what journalists should really try to find out. What is the basis of this? Because if a politician Tal says this or another politician say it, then people would say, oh, they are just playing politics. But the scandal is, how can a political party talk about being wealthy? Where did you get it from? Are you a business? Are you being paid by an agent who want to get the resources of the country into their pocket? How? I mean, I'm quite flabbergasted.
But what I was able to find out, if you go to NPP, what you will realize that they get their money from people that support the president. These are people, wealthy people, powerful, wealthy people that are backing him, that are pumping their money into his agenda, into his political ambition.
Well, those people must be named, because they are doing a disservice to the Gambian people by giving the impression that what are we paying tax for? We are paying tax so that our development can be done on a scale that is dignified, that is enabling young people to get means of livelihood, to get vocations, to get families of their own. So if you have a few people behind the scenes giving Alma Mater money so that it can be even a point of boast that I have more money than UDP, I think there is something fundamentally wrong with our politics.
But finally, back to my question, do you feel threatened as a party? Do you feel, because to tell you the truth, As a journalist, what I have realized over the past years in this country is that the Gambian people, the level of poverty is just mind-boggling. People are poor. People don't care about what message in terms of policy you have for them. People want to see you give them money. Do you feel threatened by that? And that is what is happening. That is what politicians are doing. They go to people and then give them money and then they buy their support. Do you feel threatened by that at all?
No, I'm scandalized by it. I'm scandalized by it because I don't believe that we are in the 21st century talking about our compatriots, our brothers and sisters. Their poverty, their destitution should not be an occasion for politicians to attempt to buy their loyalty. But for us as a political party, I can give you assurance that we do not traffic in this kind of politics. Banjul is an example. Banjul, we have no member of the National Assembly there. But when the mayoral election came, any of the two candidates, if they had come together, they would have won. But our base in Banjul, small as it is, and according to the rules, we were able to emerge victorious. The mayor of Banjul is from the UDP. It's the first female mayor that was elected in the history of the Gambia. So these are, for us, these are the lessons we need to learn. These are the lessons we need to teach. That politics is about purpose. It's not about this bargaining. You are bargaining for the integrity of a poor man. You are bargaining for the school and the health care of the last village in the Gambia. You are bargaining for fresh water to villagers in Sandu. These are the things that our politics should be about. This is why UDP wants a transformational development agenda that can be inclusive, that can change politics. Politics should not be about who is more wealthy. It should be about service. It should be about integrity with the public purse. Because the public purse is our contribution. But in the Gambia, we have such a dysfunctional relationship with the taxes that we pay. We think somehow that this is the Minister of Finance's money or is the President Barrow's money and he is giving it out. It is not the case. It is our own contribution to our own development. This is being taken from us, is being taken from posterity, is being taken from children, homeless people, people who have nothing. So really, it's time that we rethink our politics. It is time we reinvent government, and it is time we assess our leaders by a better standard.
Mr. Manifdal, thank you for coming. Appreciate it, and good luck on the Congress.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. That is the spokesman of United Democratic Party speaking to me there regarding their Congress this weekend. That is it from me. We will be at the Congress, of course, tomorrow, beginning tomorrow. It's going to be a packed weekend, but we'll do our best. Thank you. Until next time.